conference and I stopped by the smart board display and I talked to the girl there and I said, we don't have any smart boards per se, but we still use smart notebook in the classroom. And she said, oh, how many Lumio users do you have? And I said, well, we don't have any Lumio users. We don't pay for Lumio. And she said, well, if you pay for smart notebook, you're paying for Lumio. It's free for you. And I said, oh, okay. That's stuff I learned that you should know. So this is Lumio that we are looking at right here. It is a little bit like Smart Notebook in that you create slides and you display them to the students, but the similarities end there. When you are using Lumio, you can use any number of your slides in an interactive way by displaying them on your students' devices and then allowing your students then to add to those slides in a collaborative way. You can also make little assignments in your classroom through Lumio and then automatically collect them and then bring them up to discuss what the students did. So in that way, Lumio takes a interactive whiteboard or even a TV, any display, and it turns it into a collaboration piece. And I say the whole classroom and beyond because any connected student anywhere, God forbid we do any COVID thing again, but you could also run your classroom that way over the internet anywhere there's a student. So teachers would end up going to Lumio in your browser, literally lum.io, and that will lead you to a login space. Students will end up going to hellosmart.com. And when they go to hellosmart.com, they also get a login page, but it's very much geared to the student. It's very plain and simple, and then allows them to log in. And then what students will have to do is they will enter a classroom number in, and that will connect them to the Lumio that you are running. So let me show you exactly how that works. I have Henry down here. This is his Chromebook in the lower left-hand corner. I'll bring him up there. Perfect. And let's go ahead and have him logged in. He's not logged in yet, but it's just Google. So if I hit sign in, since he's already been logged in before, it'll prompt me and say, hey, look, it's Henry. Go ahead and continue on. And then since Henry's already connected to a classroom previously, the one that we're dealing with right now, my name is going to show up as well as my classroom number. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that. And you will see that Henry will end up in the slide that we were just in. So there he is there. And if we open everything, the slide that I'm working on for my teacher station is behind me. And then Henry is down again in the lower left-hand corner. And as we advance slides, those slides will also end up on Henry's. Now, this happens to be an interactive slide. This is one of the slides that Smart has built so that you guys can do stuff and get opinions and information out of your students. So since this is a slide that requires student devices, it's going to stop me right here and ask me to go ahead and get it started. And now that Henry is in, my screen has changed a little bit, and so has Henry's. So Henry now has a couple options on his screen where he wants to put his particular answer. This is just a very quick lunch selection screen. So I've got hot lunch, sub bar, and pack up at the top. Henry has the same thing. So what he's going to do is he's going to go ahead and pick one of those. He's going to put his first name and last initial in there per my instructions, and he's going to be able to choose lunch. He's not interested in the hot lunch, but he's going to go ahead and opt for the sub bar. And if he follows directions, he will put in his name and last initial, and he will go ahead and send it. And lo and behold, I have one kid up here for the sub bar. And now I know who's going to what lunch where. This activity has ended, so we can continue on in the slide deck. There's all kinds of stuff that Smart has put together. So a little bit like Smart Notebook, where there's a bunch of pieces and parts you guys can put together, throw into slides, and then present to your classroom. And then I put a couple slides in here that I created off of PDF. So if I'm talking about states of matter and I have a handout, but I don't want to just do it up here, I can actually make it a handout and present it to students. So if I hit student progress here, I can go ahead and wait for students to come in. The computer knows that Henry is waiting. He hasn't started it yet, so his name isn't going to appear here until he hits start. But let's go ahead and let's look at Henry. There he is. He's going to go ahead and hit start. And now we see on the teacher's screen that Henry has actually started. He has the handout on his screen. And now he can go ahead and start filling this out by adding text. When Henry is done, he's just going to go ahead and say done. And then the teacher screen is going to show that Henry has completed with this little green check mark. Now, when everybody's done, it's great because I can go ahead and I can click on somebody's if they want to share. And I can go over the answers they give. Now, again, I only answered this one question for Henry, but you can see that whatever he would type in would show up here. Now, there's all kinds of stuff that Smart has available. You can import YouTube videos, which I don't know that I would suggest because then everybody would be watching the same YouTube video at their desk. That would be a little daunting. For the older kids, Desmos has a graphing calculator. Now, of course, you could throw up any calculator on the screen that would work. There are a bunch of great science experiments here for the younger kids and the older kids. Everything from chemistry to physics, it's in there. If I want to, I can go ahead and just add a blank page. Shout out was what we used when we did our lunch table. Responses are a little bit similar to shout out, but responses are more question oriented. And there's a ton of game stuff. Most of the game stuff seems to be team based, so you'd have to split teams up into more than one kid, obviously, and then play the games with questions that you go ahead and throw in. Activating prior knowledge, a lot of those KWL type charts in there. Questions and reflections, again, is a little more question-based, but group answering. Manipulatives is where we got our fraction table from. And then there's all kinds of graphic organizers. Everybody loves Venn diagrams. Oh, look, there's one at the very bottom. Again, to go ahead and start looking at this yourself, you would go to Lumio.com. I'm sorry, you would go to lum.io in order to get started. And again, you could do this from the classroom, or you could actually get started from home. There's no restrictions on it.